Greetings, commoners. This is Tamaki Suo from the Ouran High School Host Club. And if you're a quality individual, you're watching Cosplay in Tampa Bay.
Hello, Metrocon! Oh my gosh! How I have missed you. Okay, who here was here, we figured it out, we did the math, 11 years ago. You weren't even born! What are you talking about?
I'm 27.
Oh, well, you were born. Happy birthday. Who was here? Really? Were you really, like what, like 10 or 15 guys? I have missed you guys so much. And you know what, I'm not really much of a stage guy, so I'm just gonna come down there, okay? Now let's keep our fingers crossed that this cable's long enough. For me to get close to you. Ooh, wait.
I like your pants.
Good. It's real, it's good stuff. Uh-oh, hit a snag. That's all right. Are you guys having a good time? I am so tempted to crawl underneath there and find another mic cable. And extend the mic cable. I just came from the Star Trek Vegas convention, the big Star Trek convention in Vegas right now. Any Star Trek fans out there? I love you. So yeah, I was there just for a couple of days, but I have been so excited to get here. I came in last night, and man, I love this show. And the last time I was here, it was so much smaller, and you guys have grown, and you look great, and I love you massively. Oh, girl. Oh, girl. There's my boy, Thomas. Stand up, Thomas. Stand up. You know why I want him to stand up, right? Because you can see him, unlike the other Edward Elric, where you wouldn't see him, even if he was standing. No, hey, when I saw him today, what did I tell you to tell people you were cosplaying as? Dream Edward. This is the way Ed sees himself in his dreams. It's like, I'm 6 feet tall and I beat the crap out of everybody. Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Tom. Sam. Sam looks amazing. Stand up, Sam. Oh, yeah. Superfine Vulcans. That's what I'm talking about. You guys, real quick, we kind of started late, so I want to make as much of the time as we can. So, I know that we have a lot of questions, and I want to answer as many as I can. How many of you were at SuperCon last weekend? Anybody? I know some of you were. I know you were. Oh, my darling. I know you were. Yes? I'm so happy you're here. We had a great time last weekend. We premiered our 9th episode of Star Trek Continues. Now, for those of you that are like, well, what is all this Star Trek stuff he's talking about? I am a huge Star Trek fan. Like, hardcore. Like, when I was a little boy, it was all Star Trek all the time. I drove my mother insane. She hated it. Because it was all I ever talked about. You know what I mean? She used to call it Star Trash. Because it made her so crazy. And my Uncle Paul used to tease me about it. He'd be like, oh, Dr. Spock, beep, 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 Dr. Spock. And I'm like, it's Mr. Spock! I mean, you know, because I was so obsessed with it. I'm like, don't you call him Dr. Spock. Mr. Spock. There are even home movies of me. Sam, have you seen my home movies of me 10, 11 years old on YouTube cosplaying as Captain Kirk?
In your bathroom.
Before it was called cosplay. That's how long we're talking about. There was no such term as cosplay. I got my mom to teach me to use a sewing machine so I could make my own uniforms. And I was like, this is me. I was that big around. I was like 95-year-old Vic Mignogna, 95-year-old, 95 pounds. Andy, Captain Kirk. Spock! 95 pounds, 10 years old, and like scrawny little Vic Mignogna. Actually, I was Victor. Before I went away to boarding school, I was Victor. And then when I went away to school, I'm like, I've got to change my persona. I'm going to change my name. I'm going to tell everybody my name is Vic. Right? Starting over. Victor just has a bad ring. It sounds like the punk who beat you up for your lunch money. You know what I mean? Victor! Victor! It just sounds like a bad dude. So, but yeah, so I loved Star Trek. And so now fast forward many years, and I started a web series, Crow. I like the way you look. Those are some nice legs you got there. I'll drink to those legs. I started a web series so that I could get to basically pay tribute and pay homage to a show that when I was a little kid, I mean, it inspired me to do a lot of the things that I do professionally now, which is kind of cool, you know? When I was a little kid, I never acted. I was just, 11, 12-year-old kid. And then I watched Star Trek and I'm like, ooh, I want to do what those guys are doing. Like, I want to tell stories and I want to create these emotions and move people the way those episodes would move me. So I would go to school and audition for school plays for the first time. I'd never done anything like that. And then I would watch the episodes and they'd flip open those communicators and I would go, oh, I want to make one of those. But I'd never made anything in my life. So, and like there was probably a little voice in my head that's like, who do you think you are? You can't make things. You never made anything. But I like gathered balsa wood and duct tape and Elmer's glue and paint and anything I could find and would sit there and watch Star Trek and make communicators and make phasers and tricorders and uniforms and cut. My mother, I would go into the kitchen and steal the aluminum foil and I would cut little badges out of the aluminum foil, and then I would glue them to my shirts, and my mother would go crazy. She's like, you put glue on your shirt, Victor Joseph! You feel me, Sam? You get me? Sam gets me. She gets me. But so you can imagine how much fun it is to be playing Captain Kirk in a Star Trek web series. We've rebuilt the entire soundstage, and we're finishing the original 5-year mission of the Enterprise. You remember at the beginning of the show, Captain Kirk would say, "These are the voyage of the Starship Enterprise. It's a 5-year mission to explore strange new worlds, seek out new life, new civilization, to boldly go where no man's gone before." So we thought, hey, let's finish the 5-year mission. And I don't know if you guys know this, but the original series of Star Trek was just like cut. It was just canceled. In the middle of its 3rd season, it didn't have an ending. It just stopped. And the next time you saw Captain Kirk and Mr. Spock, it was 10 years later. And Captain Kirk had taken a desk job as an admiral. He'd taken a promotion. Spock had gone back to Vulcan. Dr. McCoy just hung it up, walked away, gave up the service altogether. So I'm thinking, what happened like in between? Wouldn't it be cool to actually finish the 5-year mission of the Enterprise, return the ship to Earth, and create a beautiful story for why Kirk gave up his ship and took a promotion? Why would Mr. Spock go back to Vulcan to pursue some discipline of purging all remaining emotion? Why would Dr. McCoy walk away from the service altogether? So we made those stories. We just released episode 9 last week, and episode 10 and 11 are done, and they're being finished up right now, and 10 and 11 is our 2-part series finale of Star Trek. 10 will be released in mid-October, 11 will be released in mid-November. You know what that means, guys? That means there's plenty of time for you to go to our website and watch all the other episodes before the finale, okay? And here's the best part. The price is right. They're free to watch. Somebody's sitting there going, Vic Mignogna's trying to get into my purse. He's trying to get me to go subscribe and give him money. Nope, it's all free. This is our love letter to Star Trek. It's our tribute to this show that meant so much to me when I was little. So, hi guys, welcome. I know they're probably, one of the questions is gonna be, what are you working on right now? Right? Go ahead, ask me.
What are you working on?
I told you! I prophesied, and it came to pass. Honestly, I'm sorry. I know, I'm sorry. So here's what I'm working on. I made a list. Because I'm old and I can't remember squat. Oh, shut up, I'm old. Shut up.
You're 95 years old.
95 years old, that's right. I already gave up my age, didn't I? Told you. 95 isn't old. Yeah, it is. Okay, okay, I'm gonna read this list. You're probably gonna not have heard of some of these shows. There's a lot of anime out there, you know? Like TV shows, like there are hundreds, and somebody go, hey, have you seen Blood? You're like, no, is that a show? And you've never even heard of it. So I'm gonna read this list, and some of them you may have heard of, and some of you haven't, that's fine. Unbreakable Machine Doll. Shut up, you never heard of that. Space Dandy. Okay, so I have to tell you my Space Dandy story. So the director calls me one day and he goes, I need you to play a role in Space Dandy. It's Tamaki. And I was like, you had me at Tamaki. I said, so it's like Tamaki? And he goes, no, it's not like Tamaki. It is Tamaki. So I get in there and it's this space dude from another planet, and he's like totally Tamaki. So it's just, how Tamaki can you be? You guys just got here, you can't leave. Gosh. Oh, it's okay, I'm not embarrassing you, am I? Everybody watch them leave. There they go. There they go. Yeah, we'll be back, okay.
That's what they all say.
We'll be back. Lock the door. Carnival. Tokyo Raven. Maji, Sailor Moon, Rock Lee. Okay, there should be more woo-hoo-hoos for Rock Lee. But let me tell you why. Don't just do it because I said that. Because, Naruto fans here? Any Naruto fans? Okay, Rock Lee is like all the Naruto fans as Naruto characters as Chibi. And it's freaking hilarious. It's really funny. And what's really fun is that years ago, I auditioned to play Orochimaru. And Steve Bloom got cast, and of course Steve's amazing, so he did a great job. But fast forward all these years, and this Rock Lee show comes out. And they're like, hey, they called me and they said, hey Vic, Steve's not able to do Rock Lee. Didn't you audition for Orochimaru? I'm like, yeah. And they said, well, give us your best Steve Bloom Orochimaru. Like, give us your best impression. We're gonna send you a recording, an audio recording of Steve doing Orochimaru, and then you send us back your best approximation of it. So I did. And I ended up getting to play Orochimaru after all. So, but it's crazy wacky Orochimaru, so you have to check it out.
It's hilarious.
Let's see, Sailor Moon, Rock Lee, free? Come on guys, come on guys. No, I mean guys, males, come on boys. Embrace your inner Speedo bathing suit. You know you love it. Okay, I have to tell you my Free story. I love Free. And you know what? I love sharks. That's why I love Free. Because my character, right, Reem, is shark. That's his animal. Okay. What? Oh yeah, hammerheads forever. I'm a great white man myself, but God loves hammerheads. So here's why I love sharks so much. I've been found. Can I tell you my shark story? If you've seen this online, I apologize, but I love the story, so I'm going to tell it. When I was 17 years old, my mom moved to Ocean City, Maryland, right on the beach, on the shore. And so I went back there at the end of school year that year. And there's a bridge that goes across from the mainland to Ocean City. It's the Route 50 bridge. So I was fishing one night off the bridge. I was there with my friend. I can't remember my friend's name. He was a good friend. And we're fishing off the bridge. And suddenly I caught something strong. And my pole like went, oh my gosh. And my friend's like, reel it up. And I'm like, I can't reel it. We're on a bridge. Like what, hoist it up in midair? Like I couldn't do it. So I'm like, I can't let it go. It's too cool. Whatever it is, it must be cool, right? Because it's strong. So I'm like, what do? I don't want to let it go. So I thought, I know what I'm going to do. And I started walking down the bridge. Every time I got to a light post, I would go. And I got to the very end of the bridge, right where the shore comes up to the bridge, and I reeled it in, and it was like a 15-inch baby sand shark. It was so cute. Oh my gosh, it was so cute. And I mean, it was the cutest thing. It was too small to hurt you. Like it had teeth, of course, sharks have teeth, but they were so baby that like I put my finger in his mouth, and he's like, oh, 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 oh. And it didn't hurt, right? So I'm like, I have to take him home. Like, who's got a pet shark? Do you? No. You? No. Me? I do. So I'm taking him home like, this is gonna be so awesome. I'm gonna have a shark. Because I loved sharks. I mean, like when Jaws came out, I was like 15 or 16 and I became fascinated with sharks. I wrote school papers on sharks. I did speeches on sharks. I loved sharks. So here my mom moves to the shore and I caught one. I was elated. So I took him home and I got this big bucket. I filled it with water, threw him in. I named him Sherman. It's a strong, scary name, isn't it? And this is so cool. So I'm like telling my friends, I got a pet shark. I don't know if you know, but I have a pet shark. You have a dog? Cat? My pet will eat your pet. So I was so proud I had a shark. Like 2 days go by, and suddenly, like he's not swimming around much. And I was like, Sherman? I'm kicking the bucket, and he's like, he starts swimming. I'm like, then it hit me. Sharks swim in salt water, not bathtub water. I was like, oh my God. I gotta take him back. I'm gonna kill him. I have to take him back. He'll die. So I picked up one side of the bucket, and my cousin Robin picked up the other side, and we start walking toward the beach. We lived like right on the sand, so we just really walk over the sand, right down to the surf, right? So we walk down there, and we sit the tub down, and I pick him up, and I'm like, okay, Sherman, thank you for hanging out with me for a couple days. Sorry about the tub bath water. Sorry. And I put him in the surf, and he started to try to swim away. But he was so weak that every single wave, the tiniest wave, every wave would wash him back in. I was like, ah! I was like, oh my God, I'm standing there watching him like, he's never gonna survive. I have to figure something out. So I picked him up, and I just started walking out into the water. Just kept walking. Then I got that far, and I'm like, okay, Sherman, I'm gonna let you go now. One more time. And I put him under the water. Balancing coffee and water. You guys, you should all get medals. Because nobody is awake at noon on Sunday. Like yesterday, this room was packed with people standing around the walls.
you.
And I thought, oh, I wonder if we'll have 6 people this morning. Coffee.
We love you.
I love the paint.
We love you.
I love you.
Yeah, these paints are awesome.
Good morning. And they gave me a big long cord. They give me a long cord on the day when there's nobody in the back to get to.
How come they'll hear you?
Oh, they'll stumble in. Where's the panel? Is this Steve Bloom's panel? Was it really? I'll just do my best, Steve Bloom. Bang. Yes, I play Orochimaru. A lot of other low voices. Sunday. How many of you were here yesterday, at the panel yesterday? Oh, I love you. We talked about a lot of stuff yesterday. And we kind of were into the question phase. So we'll just continue. Yes, sir.
Out of the main series Star Trek, not counting Kirk and them, who would you say your favorite crew is? Like,
I would say Next Generation.
Yeah.
See, here's my deal, you guys. I love the original. Okay, the original's the best. And then, I mean, I'm kind of a purist, you know. What's interesting is that everybody loved Star Trek when they discovered Star Trek. So like if you're 35, 40, Next Gen was your thing. I mean, that's when you were a kid when Next Generation came out. And that's what you love. And that's totally cool. For me, it was the original series. And my feeling about it is, every incarnation of Star Trek got further and further away from whatever it was about the original that made it so cool. You know what I mean? I don't even think that they may not even know what it was that made it the way it was. But, you know, nowadays they make action-packed spectacle, special effects, you know, ships and action and dark and, you know, this dystopian future of bad guys trying to overthrow. It's all dark and, you know what I mean? And Star Trek was not about that. I don't know if you know that or not, but Star Trek was about an image of the future where mankind had risen above the pettiness. They had set aside the things that divided them and caused them to war and hate and battle. And they came together on the earth as humankind, and then as a united people, they moved out into space to meet new people and make friends with new people. It was a very positive message, which nowadays, you know what I mean? Like, look at the last J.J. Abrams movie. The bad guy was the Federation guy, like in Starfleet. Starfleet wasn't the bad guy, you know what I mean? Like this guy who's trying to take over the universe, and he was actually in Starfleet. No. That's not Star Trek, that's something. But you could call that movie any sci-fi name, make up a sci-fi name. It didn't have to be Star Trek. So that's what I loved about the original series, was the positivity and the storytelling. And Next Gen was close, but Next Generation was more cerebral. And this was perfectly personified in the captains. Look at Kirk. You know, go get 'em, right? Pioneer, meet new people, explore new things, jump in, you know, feet first. And look at Picard, bald grandpa. Well, we should extend diplomacy and we should talk to them about their problems. You know what I mean? Like, the captains perfectly personified the difference between the two shows. But here's an interesting point. I don't know if you ever thought about this. I'm sorry for not jumping into the deep end here so early in the morning. You're like, I can't, brain hurting, can't take it. You can't have a story without conflict. So think about this. If mankind becomes just perfect and figures out all the answers, and there are no conflicts, guess what you have? No stories. There's nothing interesting. There have to be adversaries. And in the original series, one of the things they wanted to do was to branch out into space and hopefully share what they had learned back on Earth with other cultures. So there's a difficulty when you're making a TV show. You have to have a story. If you're going to have a story, you have to have an antagonist and a protagonist. You have to have tension and friction and conflict. And if everybody just sits around in comfy chairs and gets along and talks about how great everything is, that show's not going to last very long. So you have to find conflict somewhere. I don't know that the Star Trek future will ever happen. I don't think it will. I don't want to be a party pooper, but I just don't think it will. Because there are a lot of greedy people in the world. It's a big world. Lots of people with their own agendas, and they're all looking out for number one. And as long as there are those people in the world, they're going to make it difficult for people like you and me that aren't that way. But the best thing you can do is represent, right? The best thing you can do is be a voice for good and a voice for positivity and light and love and kindness and selflessness. And you in your circle, no matter how big your circle is, can influence people around you. Maybe it's just people you go to school with. Maybe it's people on your high school ball team. Maybe it's just the people in your neighborhood. Maybe it's just your family. Or maybe as you get older, you get more opportunities, the workplace you work, new friends you make, colleges, who knows? Maybe even you get a job in an industry like me where you get the chance to talk to even more people. So you never know who you can influence. Don't ever think that you don't have the power to influence somebody in your life. The question you need to ask yourself is not, do I have anybody to influence in my life? Because that's rhetorical. You do, whether you think so or not. The question is this: how are you going to influence them? Which direction are you going to influence the people in your life? Do you know you even have influence on your parents? Do you know that? No. You may think, oh, they're set in their ways and they never understand anything. They don't listen to me. Yeah, they do. They don't want you to think they do, but they do. And you, by your life and your kindness and your behavior, even your obedience and respect when you don't necessarily agree, speaks to them. And you can influence them in a positive way. I bet you there are a lot of parents that would get up on this microphone and say, I learned a lot from my kids.
Not me.
Now they don't want to tell you that because they don't want you to get cocky.
Don't say that about me.
But you learn from them and they learn from you. Sorry, got all deep in everything. But the bottom line is, you have people in your life that you can influence. So the question is not, are there people that you can make a positive impact on? That's not the question. The question is, what impact are you going to make on them? For better or worse? Somebody have a question that's not so deep? Yes. Yes, you with your amazing cosplay. You look awesome. Do, what character are you?
Umbreon, Pokemon.
Umbreon?
Yeah.
Do they drink coffee? Do they drink coffee? Good, then I'm one of them. What is your question, my dear?
Okay, I'm wondering, when you go ahead and go for a new anime, whether it's a main role or a side role, like when you did Edward or a character off of Attack on Titan with one of the smaller roles that ended up getting killed like almost everyone else. I'm sorry, but it's true.
We have a name for those characters, you know.
Soldier
We call them Soldier A. That's exactly right. They're not even important enough to have a name. They're just a guy. A guy who yells and dies. That's it.
I actually remember you made that into a song on one of your CDs. I own two of them, but I'm wondering, how do you go ahead and try to find out like the new animes and figure out who you want to go and try for those roles, and especially you can claim the Soldier A's and the main characters?
Well, you know what? At the end of the day, I'm just an actor looking for work. I almost chuckle a little bit when somebody writes me and goes, how do you decide what character you're going to play? I'm like, you think I decide? That's funny. I don't decide anything. I audition. Now, if I'm lucky, someone will say, hey, I need somebody like this guy. And they'll just cast me. But that doesn't happen much, unfortunately. I'll go and audition for shows, and honestly, I'll never even know a lot of times what the show is. We don't know a lot of that's going on until it kind of comes to a studio. You know, Funimation has these simuldubs that they're doing right now, right? Simulcast dubs. There are dozens of them. And Japan is cranking out anime like crazy, and there's so much of it. And I don't know what it is, and I don't think many of us do. We just kind of wait until we get a call, hey, come audition for this show, you know? And it's some word or name that you've never heard of. You don't know what it's about. And I'll tell you another way I find out about shows is you guys. Funny story, I was going to conventions, and I would always see kids wearing these uniforms. And I didn't know what, I knew it was from a show, obviously, it was some anime, but I didn't know which one. And they were black, and they had white trim. I was like, those are cool, I see a lot of those. And finally I said, what is this? And they're like, oh, Vampire Night. And I'm like, Vampire Night, cool, is that a good show? And they're like, oh, it's a great show. Who are the characters? Oh, well, there's Zero, and Yuki, and Kaname, and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh, really? Next thing you know, I found out that a studio in LA had got the license to dub Vampire Night. So I wrote them, and I'm like, I want to be in this. Pick me, pick me. And so they sent me audition sides, and I auditioned for Aido, and Kaname, and Yagari, is that the Vampire Hunter?
Yeah.
And Zero. So point is, a lot of times I find out about cool shows from you guys, and you're my inside scoop. You let me know cool things that are coming. Just last week, I got an email from somebody who's like, have you ever heard of this anime? And obviously something I hadn't heard of, and he goes, you should play this character. You'd be really great. I'm like, man, I wish you were casting. I wish you were casting this show. Yes, sir.
With the new Fullmetal Alchemist movie in Japan,
Oh yeah.
How do you feel about that? And if they do a dub, would you do it?
Dude, I want it to be good. I want it to be good. It looks cool. But then every trailer looks cool. I mean, you can find 30 seconds of cool footage in any movie, right? It's the 2-hour part that gets hard, you know, when they release the whole thing. I want it to be good. If it gets dubbed, I certainly expect I'll do it. I expect everybody that was in Full Metal will do it because the show was really popular. The dub was very popular. So I expect that I will. I hope I do. I was encouraged. You know, it's funny. It's funny, I had two conflicting feelings about as I found out information about the Full Metal live action movie. The first one was, I wanted it to be authentic. Like I wanted it to be like as close to the original anime as possible. Which means that Ed and Al are like what, 14, 15 years old, like they're kids. When I found out that the guy that's playing Ed is like 20 years old, he's a J-pop star, and then I saw him, I'm like, oh, doggone it. They're already messing stuff up. That was my first reaction. But my second reaction was, ooh, that's closer to me. Like if it was an actual 14-year-old kid, I'd probably not get cast to dub it.
Yeah.
But the older Ed looks better for me. So I'm torn. But I hope it's good. I certainly want it to do well. I've said for a long time that with technology, special effect technology the way it is now, the things they can do, this would be a perfect time to make a really cool Fullmetal Alchemist live action. Yes, my dear. Mm-hmm. Sorry? Absolutely. Now that I have a cable that will do my bidding. Thank you.
Just want to give you another hug.
Oh, come here. I'm glad to see you again.
Yes, you remember my name.
Wait a minute. What's it start with? Olivia. Boom! Still got it.
No, I didn't get to ask you this yesterday.
I thought that over there, and then I thought, don't say it. I almost said Olivia, and I thought, oh, if it's wrong, you're gonna look like such a jerk. Yes, Olivia?
I wanted to know how you got your start in music.
Well, I was born. My mother swallowed a tiny keyboard, and when I was still in utero, I was playing piano. No, you know what? Honestly, Olivia, I stumbled across music. I'd been singing since I was really young. I still remember the first song I ever sang was in church at a Christmas show, Away in the Manger. I love that song. That was the first song I remember ever singing. But I sang a lot, but I didn't play anything. My mom and dad tried to get me to take trumpet lessons. I freaking hated the trumpet. You know, anyone ever play trumpet? It hurts. Like when you try to blow, right, to make the sound come out, and you're not supposed to do this. You're not supposed to have the big bulgy cheeks. You're supposed to hold tight, and it would hurt. And I'm like, this is stupid. Who created this dumb instrument? So I quit. Nothing. And then my mom played the piano at church. She was the pianist for our church. And ironically, my mom took like 2 or 3 years of piano lessons and no more, but she had a really good ear and she developed it from there, so she played the piano for the church. I was 17 years old. Who is texting me? I was 17 years old and I was attending a boarding school in South Carolina. And I was living in the dormitories, 12 hours from home. I lived in Pennsylvania, but I was going to this high school, boarding school in South Carolina. And one day, this is a long story, I'm sorry you guys. One day, a friend of mine said, hey, you want to go to Kmart with me? I'm running off campus to Kmart. I'm like, okay. I'll never forget it. He had a yellow Z28 Camaro. For those of you like, what's a Z20? Is that a rocket ship? Is that a robot?
It's a Gundam.
Yes, it's a robot. So we got in his car, and get ready. You ready? I'm going to date myself really bad here. We get in his car, and he reaches under his seat, and he pulls out an 8-track tape and slips it in the cartridge in the player. Now, by the way, it was a Christian school, and they didn't allow pop music. So this tape that he pulled out was not permitted. That's why it was hiding under his seat, right? So he pulls it on, he puts it in, and this guy starts singing. I remember all my life, raining down as cold as ice, shadows of a man, a face through a window, crying in the night. The night goes into morning, just another day. Barry Manilow. And I'm like, who is that?
He is awesome.
And he goes, what, you don't know Barry Manilow? It's great. So we get to Kmart, which is only like 8 minutes from campus. And he pulls into a parking space and he goes, you want to come in with me? I'm like, no, just stay in the car and listen. And I sat in the car. I can see myself sitting in the passenger side, leaning against the window of the passenger side, listening to Barry Manilow. I don't know what it was, but there was something about him that was so unassuming. It wasn't flashy. He's not a rock and roll, you know what I mean? Like, he's just a guy with a big nose who's very talented, you know what I mean? Just a talented guy. He's just a guy, like anybody you'd meet who just happens to be gifted, writing music, playing the piano.
Has a great voice.
Yeah. So, yeah, and singer. So this happened, this Kmart run, happened just a couple of weeks before our Christmas break. So at Christmas break, I went home, and what do you think I did? I went to the record store, and I bought 5 LPs of Barry Manilow's songs. Like, he had 5 records out by that time. And I just bought them all, and I took them home and listened to every one of them. And I just loved the guy. There was just something about the range of his voice was similar to my range. Timbre was somewhat similar. He played the piano, the songs, I liked the songs. I wasn't into the, you know what I mean? I just liked moving, nice songs. So I went back to school after the Christmas break. And I'm a Barry Manilow fan, but remember where I'm going to school, right?
Right.
Can't tell people. Can't talk about Barry Manilow. Can't walk around campus singing, I remember all my life. Right, can't do that. So one day I'm at my high school and in class, and I'm talking to my friend Jay. Jay Bopp. B-O-P-P was his name. Jay was a year younger than me, and we left class and we were going to lunch, and Jay said, and I said to Jay, I don't even know how this came up, but I'm like, dude, have you ever heard of Barry Manilow? And Jay goes, I love Barry Manilow. I'm like, you do? It's the greatest day ever. Jay played the piano. Jay'd been taking lessons, piano. He played piano. I didn't play squat, right? So we said, let's write a Barry Manilow song. You write the music and record yourself playing it on a cassette. I know, that's an old word too. That was the newfangled thing in the day, you know. All, 8 tracks were so last week, right? Cassettes were now. And I said, you record it, and then I will take it back to my dormitory room, and I will listen to your music, and I will make up the words. So we were gonna write a song. Him the music, me the lyrics. So he did it. And I took the cassette back to my room, and I listened to it constantly, all the time. I wasn't allowed, music wasn't permitted, strict music codes, but I listened to it all the time. One day I was walking across campus and I was walking past a set of little rooms that have pianos in them. Do you guys ever go to a school that have practice studios? They're little closets, literally, that you go in and you practice your instruments. They had a whole row of them. They all had little upright pianos in them. So I went into one and I sat down at the piano. Literally, keep plunking around. And before, I'm sorry I'm taking so long with this story, but before I knew it, I had figured out how to play that song on the cassette exactly the way Jay played it. Now, I didn't know what I was playing, but I knew it, I mean, it sounded exactly like it. I couldn't believe it, like I was playing this little piano thing. Then one day, I was playing it, and I displaced one finger. By accident, I don't even know. Maybe God led my finger. But I changed it, and suddenly it turned the chord into a different sound. And I was like, ooh, that's different, that sounds cool. That sounds like it should go from this chord to this chord. And I found a new chord. And before I knew it, I'd made up a whole new song. All my own chords. I didn't know what I was playing, but I played. Now, our high school was part of a university. So, they're listening to your conversation, Mary. Mary's not listening to the conversation. The college, I lived with college guys. Remember I told you I lived in a dormitory? Well, it was a university campus. And the high school kids were integrated in with the college kids. So I was 17 and I had college roommates. And I had friends that lived in my dormitory who were in college, a few years older than me. So one day I said to one of my friends who was a music major, I said, hey, you want to come hear a song I wrote? He's one of those snobby music majors, right? Who thinks they're just all that, a bag of chips, right? Okay. Go ahead. And I took him down to the practice room, one of the practice rooms, and I started playing my song. And I was singing it. And he was standing behind me like this. Watching me. Judging me. And then, after I finished the song, he said, start over. I'm like, okay. And I started over, and every time I would hit a chord, he would go, that's a G major 7. And I would go, why? And he would say, well, the root is G. And if it were a major chord, you would be playing the G an octave up. But you've flatted the top G a half step, which makes it a major 7. Now, if you flatted it a full step, it would be a full 7. It would be a G7. Oh. So, this would be a C major 7. And he went, yes. I would continue playing, and he would go, B minor, suspended 4th. And I'd be like, what? Why? Well, you flatted the 3rd, the harmonic 3rd, you flatted it. That moved it from a major to a minor. And you see, in the scale of B, you're on the 4th note, but it's suspended. It has not yet resolved to the harmonic 3rd. Okay. So this would be an A minor suspended 4th. Yes. Okay, so here's the thing. I got it. I got music. At that point, I'm like, okay, now I'm figuring out what chords are. But then I would go to restaurants, and I could sit there while we're ordering dinner at Chili's and listen to the song playing on the speaker above me and imagine what the chords were. That's a minor. Okay, if they're in the key of G, then that would be the relative minor, which is E minor. And down, that's C, up to D. I could just see it in my mind. To the point where I could go back to the studio and just play it. Never played it, just play it. See, this is why I have to give God credit for everything. Do you see the story here? I didn't do anything. I didn't take lessons. I didn't study and learn. It was just a thing. It was just a gift. So I'm very careful to give credit where credit is due, if you know what I mean. I continued developing it. And I'm singing the whole time. And remember, Barry Manilow started this whole thing, right? He played the piano, so I learned to play the piano. And I just got to the point where I could, if you were to call out a song right now, if I know the song and there were a piano here, I could play it for you. And if you were going to sing it, you're like, oh, that's too high. I could transpose it immediately and play in a different key. But it's completely just a gift. I never planned it. I never studied it. So I'm extremely, that's why music means so much to me. And I've been writing and singing and producing twice as long as I've been voice acting. I've produced 30 or 40 records for different people, a lot of contemporary Christian stuff. Some of you may have ever heard of a group called DC Talk.
Yep.
I produced their first record. And I have 6 of my own. And I want to make another one, but I got sidetracked with Star Trek. I was in the middle of making I was going to make a new CD, and then I thought of the Star Trek thing, and that's taken the last 5 years. But I'm going to do it. Although my voice is getting crappy. No, it is from voice acting. I'm not kidding. I'm sure of it. From all the yelling, take its toll. Yeah, so no, this is a no Broly zone. But yeah. So that's I have a studio in my home. I've produced hundreds of jingles and music for documentaries and hundreds and hundreds of songs for 1,000 different things. So music means everything to me. I was thinking this guy in the back had both hands raised, but actually it's just part of his costume. I better answer this guy's questions. He's going to cut me to pieces. Yes, ma'am. Yes. Let's see how far my mic will go.
Hello.
Here, you buy me some time.
Okay. So, really quick, can you say Daddy says no?
What?
What's your name? What's your name? Tyler? Tyler? Daddy says no. No, too late. So you have to be ready. When I called on you, you should have had it ready. See, no, do it again. No. Natsu, Sure, we'll pick one, because we have a lot of people that want to ask questions. Here.
How do you feel about voicing Mark Greer being one of the biggest villains of Fairy Tail?
I'm so happy to be a part of Fairy Tail finally. I guess all that money I sent the director finally paid off, right? I always tease Todd, you know, because, you know, like Full Metal's one of my big things, and one of Todd's big things is Fairy Tail. That's like one of the main things that people know Todd for. So, and you know, as luck would have it, Fairy Tail is a pretty long show. So he gets to work on it, you know, all the time. So I'm always like, Todd, gosh, put in a good word for me. Come on, man, you're freaking Natsu. You know what I mean? Tell the director, I mean, I just tell him I want to be in it. He's like, okay, I'll tell him. And then nothing ever comes of it.
Sounds exactly like Tom.
That's right. I thought we were friends, dude. I made you Spock. What? Throw me a bone. And so, so finally, I talked to the director, and he's like, I'm just waiting for, I'm waiting for a really good role. I'm waiting for a role that would be really good, you know? He goes, I still want to cast you like Soldier A, you know? I don't want to throw you in some dumb little thing. I want to save you for something good. And so when Mark Gear came along, he had me come in and do it. And I was very excited, very excited. I really love the scene where I kicked the crap out of Natsu. I have that on a loop, and it just plays. Yes, sir.
I'm not going to ask you to do the voice because you already said so, but have you seen DBZ Abridged, and what's your opinion on Broly's voice in that?
Well, I don't remember Broly's voice in Abridged, but I have seen it, and it's hilarious.
I love how his voice starts off like...
Yeah, the Abridged guys did a great job. I love how they make fun of me. They're like, I'm Kakarot, oh, my voice, oh. Clearly that one's gotten around here. Yes, my dear. Yes. Mm-hmm.
I wanted to know if you ever think there's going to be another season of Ouran High School Host Club.
I won.
Girl, from your lips to God's ears, I wish there were. I would love for there to be another one. Everybody would. I've often said, if I had a lot of money, I would personally hire a studio to make another season of Ouran, and I know that all of the actors involved would love to do it. I love it, and the manga continued, so there's plenty of material. I haven't read it, but I know what happens. Yeah, I know what happens. Bow chicka bow bow. How do he? Come to daddy. Daddy says yes. Thought of it exactly the same time. It's hilarious. This guy right here is, Daddy says yes. I was just thinking, I was taking a drink of coffee, and in my brain I'm like, as soon as I swallow this drink of coffee, I'm going to say, Daddy says yes. And he said it exactly the same moment. Hello.
Hello to you too, sir. I have a question for you.
That was saucy. Wasn't it?
Yeah.
You knew it was saucy, and he went there anyway. What's your question?
So, how does it feel to have a role for Crow for RWBY?
RWBY's awesome. Watch RWBY. Oh my gosh. You know, I was doing a convention appearance in Australia, and a couple of people came up to me, and they said, hey, we're big fans of your voice work. We've seen a lot of your shows. We really love your work. We do a show called RWBY. Now, guys, let me just be honest. A lot of people come up to me and say, oh, I'm working on something. And they're all varying levels of quality, if you know what I mean, right? Like, oh, here's my anime, and it's like stick figures, you know what I mean? Yeah. Or somebody else, like, that's got it fully fleshed out, and their art is amazing, you know what I mean? Like, it's all different. You never know, point is. So they're like, yeah, I've got this, you know, we've got this show, and it's called RWBY. I'm like, oh, really? Cool. And they're like, would you like to see some images? I'm like, sure. So they whip out an iPad, and they start scrolling through images, and I was like, wow, this looks cool. Very cool. She doesn't know we're listening to her. Here, let's imagine what she's talking about.
You.
She's talking about you, right?
I told them that if I could get out of prison in time, yes, I've got the drugs in the back of my car. Yes, just let me get through this stupid guy's voice acting thing. This guy's a jerk. I can't wait. I'm telling you, working with him. What? Oh yeah, his hair's really puffy. Anyway, where was I? RWBY. So I'm looking at these still pictures, art designs, character designs, and then the guy goes, there was a guy and a girl, they were married, and the guy goes, you want to see like some video? It's like, you guys have video? Yeah, sure. Swipes right, and then plays this sequence of RWBY fighting. I'm like, dang! You guys are like, this is hard, this is serious stuff, right? You guys are legit. So we go our separate ways. We finish the convention in Australia, we all go home. And like 2 weeks later, I got an email. Hey Vic, this is Lindsay. I met you in Australia. Yeah, and it was Lindsay who plays RWBY. I didn't even know who she was. And it was her husband. I think Michael? Yeah. So Lindsay, Michael and I met you in Australia. Would you be interested in playing a character in the show we showed you? And I was like, yeah, sure. So I had no idea who the character was. I hadn't even seen him. I knew nothing about him. I didn't even know really about the show. I just saw the pictures they showed me, really. They gave me a brief description, but I didn't know anything about it more than that. And so they sent me, I think they sent me a couple of drawings, rough drawings. They hadn't even finished the design on the character yet. And they said, what do you think he should sound like? So I sent them 3 or 4 different ideas. And the one they decided on is the one you guys hear in RWBY. And Crow is a lot of fun. No matter how trashed my voice is, I can always do Crow. Yeah, just drop it down low and get a little stumbly. You know, like, oh, you think this is coffee, don't you? It's not. So I do that all day. You know, I mean, it's not high, it's not clear and clean, and not a ton of yelling. It's just, kind of that all the time. Sorry? I love that, and you know what? All actors love that. They love it when you don't immediately recognize their voice. You know, some people have very recognizable voices. I'm probably one of them. And, and that's because the goal is not to change your voice. You know what I mean? Like, my goal with a new character is, oh, you gotta make sure nobody knows it's me. I gotta change my voice or it can't be recognizable. No, that's not the point. The goal is to play the character. You know, most actors you've seen them in dozens of movies, and they play all these different characters, but they always sound like themselves. Because the goal is not necessarily to change your voice. The goal is to play the character authentically and believably. So I've often said, you could take one line from 5 different characters that I've played and string them all together and listen to them back to back and go, oh yeah, that's the same guy. But if you watch those 5 shows, they're very different characters. Tamaki could be very much like Kurt Weber in Fullmetal Panic, except they're, vocally, tone-wise, but their attitude is very different. Kurt's is kind of smart-ass, yeah, Kurt Weber, yeah, shoot him up, right? And Tamaki's just smoother and more beautiful. It's not a change of voice, it's a change of attitude, right? And the personality of the character. Exactly. I always love it when people go, man, I didn't even realize that was you at first. So thank you for that. Yes, my dear. Oh my goodness. You had a hand raiser helper.
Yes. What's your favorite ship, and would you be willing to write it on my board?
Yes, I will write my favorite ship on your board right now.
Here we go.
Somebody's getting this.
Please say what ship you're riding.
Yes, please.
You beat me to it. I wrote the Enterprise. And I even drew a little picture of the Enterprise. Sorry, hi. You look awesome. You guys, this is Heather. Say hi to Heather. Heather is a master cosplayer. Looking awesome today. Show everybody. Yes, really? Look. Dang. Double dang. Nice.
Can't afford the real one.
Well, it would be really cumbersome to carry around too.
I asked Michelle this at her panel at SuperCon, and I'm going to ask you now. Have you seen Adam Savage's video comparing Star Trek to Star Wars and why Star Wars is better?
No. And I don't intend to watch it. Because it sounds like the conclusion is completely wrong.
No, I was chuckling because you were talking about Star Trek earlier, and his conclusion, what he came to, was that Star Wars is better because Star Trek gives you too much hope.
What was the first episode of Star Wars called? A New Hope? You know what's really interesting is Star Wars is not sci-fi. You've never seen Star Wars?
I haven't either. I never seen Star Wars.
Guys, go get some torches. Let's burn her. She's a witch. Oh, you're my kind of girl. You are my kind.